I will admit that I have very little knowledge of anime. I understand it's very popular in certain parts of the world. Here in the United States, it seems to be picking up more steam. But if you go to Japan, the adult cartoons oriented to a completely different audience, it's a whole different level of animation and attention that they put into it. So, to explain the world of anime to me as an anime expert, Chris Mayek joins us here on this sixth episode. And I thank Chris for educating me on this whole different new style. I need to preface that again. I don't know much of anything about anime, and I almost feel like I should show you the two cells that I own to give you an idea of what I own in my collection. And I'll be impressed if you know these. So this is almost like a true test to start the video. And Chris, I should probably also point out to anyone watching, Chris has been super patient with me because not only did my power go out, but my internet went out earlier. And we were planning on recording about 2.5 hours ago. And luckily this worked out. So I wanted to thank you for being patient here. Okay. I don't know much about this animation. However, I have seen a clip of it, and I think it was a cooking competition, which is kind of a weird thing. I guess there is a subgenre of animes or whatever that have like cooking competitions. So I have this guy. He look familiar at all?
Really familiar.
It was not a popular series at all. I don't know but he was basically, what he has in his hand here is like, I don't know what that is. It's almost like a placemat or something, but he was slamming it onto the table. Everything's so dramatic in anime. And then the other anime I have is from one, I guess it was pretty popular, called Blackjack. Do you know that series?
Yeah.
So he was a reporter in it, and I just loved the way this looked. So I don't think he had a big role in it. I've never actually watched the series, but this is a 2-cell setup. It has the character and then the smoke from the cigarettes, a separate cell. But if he looks familiar, that was apparently very well known for its animation style, but a lot of animes are like that. They're so much different than Western animation in the sense that they have so much more detail, much more realistic, when here in the United States, a lot of the Western animation is very cartoony. How did you get into anime, by the way?
Oh, just how I got into it in general. I think it started with how a lot of people my age did, just Pokemon, and you don't really realize that Pokemon is anime, and then it kind of just, once you get older, then you just explore that whole medium further.
Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z were like the two big ones here in the US, weren't they?
Yeah.
I don't know if any other ones really made it big. Or can you think of any other anime that here in the Western side of the world that people probably have seen?
Well, Sailor Moon was a really big one too.
Oh yeah. You know, I guess I have never seen it, but I know the character, and the character has been referenced in other pop culture too. So yeah, it's kind of interesting because I don't know much of anything when it comes to anime, but so much of our animation comes from that side of the world, and then shipped back here in the United States or whatever, and then they produce it. So really, your YouTube channel interviews a lot of different voice actors. I was curious about that. Are you talking to American voice actors that dub anime series into English, or are they also doing voices for animation that would air overseas?
It's primarily English dubs for anime, yes.
When you talk to actors, what kind of things do you like to learn about them?
Well, so especially with the voice actors, one of my signature questions is always asking what the darkest headspace they've had to go for a character is. Mm-hmm. Like whether that be like the most evil or most draining. And then of course the biggest cases where they've like altered their voice really significantly, or how they do little kid voices, stuff like that. It's just always really interesting.
Yeah. Have you found that for the most part, are you always surprised in the amount of different characters one voice actor can actually work on? Because, sometimes I'll look at your thumbnails and there'll be like 10 characters up on the screen. You'll be like, wow, that's a pretty wide variety of characters they've worked.
Yeah. It's pretty cool that, sometimes it takes like a really long time to make certain thumbnails depending on how varied the actor is.
Yeah. I think, anime hasn't really caught on. There have been some series that have been popular, like you mentioned Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z, things like that. but it's a whole different level. Like when you go to Japan or whatever it is, they take it so much more serious when we're very, Looney Toony, I guess. Over
Mhm.
here, we're more comedies and things like that. Why do you think that is, that here in the United States, we haven't really had that same level of adult content for cartoons like they have in other countries?
I just think, well, I don't know. I think anime pushes the boundaries more, and they kind of always were. And anime has always been doing things that Western animation, especially, was afraid to do.
Mhm.
And I think that's one thing that attracts people so much to it.
Yeah. Like I'll go back to this one Blackjack cell. I mean, seriously, the detail alone on one cell like this. I
Yeah.
don't know any production house in the United States that would spend that much money to put this much time and effort into a cartoon. So a lot of this is oriented to adults
Yeah.
when the cartoons here were, the orientations to children.
Mhm.
And there have been a lot of exceptions to that, of course. There have been things that have been crossover that adults and children enjoy, but there hasn't really been the same amount of content directed towards adults in this side of the world, which is kind of interesting. So once we've gone to computer animation, that kind of changed things too. I think it makes it a lot easier for more of that adult content to come out there. And you've definitely seen a lot of it. The Cartoon Networks of the world kind of, have their whole genre. Fox, even, at night, they've gone from Simpsons to things a lot more adult.
Right.
Um, when you talk to these voice actors, do they have to study the culture to try to understand the differences between our cultures to try to get into character?
No, I mean, a lot of times they don't really have much prep. It's kind of like you show up and you're just you have to get going right away, because with dubbing anime, there's a lot more constraints, because with original animation, obviously, they animate to the actors' voices, and then with anime, you have to match a performance that's already been done. So,
Hmm.
yeah, it's pretty fast paced.
It's a lot different than, well, I don't know how old you are. You do look
I'm,
young.
I'm 24.
Yeah, because the big joke was dubbing the old kung fu movies where the mouths never matched. Because
Yeah.
like they would voice it here in the United States, and the mouths would be doing all the big things, and then the voice would never match. They've come a long way when it comes to dubbing voices. Like they could figure these things out a lot better. But still, there's those moments where you watch it and you don't want to do the subtitle, but it doesn't always match up. I started watching One Punch Man, and
Oh,
that's so popular, but man, is it a fun show and series. So there have been other things that I've found to enjoy. I've watched the first season of Attack on Titan. I think that's
okay.
what it's called. Is that
Yeah.
what it's called? Um, some of them I think also became easier to find when they show up on like a Netflix or a Hulu, when otherwise you wouldn't have had a chance to see it. And didn't Cartoon Network even at late at night or overnight start to show some anime? And that was a introduction to a larger audience too.
Yeah, Adult Swim back in the early 2000s, stuff like Cowboy Bebop. That was a big gateway to a lot of people that were around my age or older. But they still show anime late at night on Cartoon Network on
Oh, cool.
Saturdays.
Do you collect any animation cells?
Do you mean like from Western animation?
Well, any
Or,
animation at all?
yeah, I mean, that's my main hobby outside of interviews, is production artwork for anime.
Yeah. Like I did a quick search for you and I saw that you do have different things listed online, different galleries.
Yeah.
Primarily, do you try to stick to like a certain show or series, certain characters? What do you prefer to collect?
Well, now I'm actually focusing a lot more on the sketch artwork instead of the cells, because I found that those are just a lot easier to take care of. But in terms of series, it's normally a lot of stuff that I grew up with. Like I have stuff from Sailor Moon. I'm not sure if you know what a Rurouni Kenshin is.
Mm-mm.
Okay. But
Is that
yeah,
a
just a lot.
character or is that a device?
It's a series.
Oh, it's a series. Okay, it sounds official, whatever it is. So, what kind of anime is it?
Oh, Kenshin, it's set in feudal Japan, and it's just about the main character is named Kenshin, and he has a cross-shaped scar on his cheek. He's a really pretty anime male character, and he has a lot of conviction because he was a assassin for the government in his past, but now he um he still fights, but he doesn't kill anybody. Like the sword that he has is a reverse blade sword, and that's probably my main, like, the single centerpiece of my collection is Kenshin. So that's my main focus. But a lot of stuff doesn't come up from it for sale anymore. So you have to buy things from people that don't collect anymore, that got them like 20 plus years ago.
Yeah. Where do you look for cells? You have to go on, like, is it the Yahoo Japan or whatever? There's a proxy you buy cells from there. Is that how you're
Yes.
primarily purchasing?
That's what I would, yeah, I've gotten several things off of there, but a lot of the stuff that I currently have right now are items that I bought from other domestic retired collectors. But I do actively use Yahoo Japan, yes.
Do they reach out to you? I mean, do they see your interviews and say, "Oh, I have something from there"? Does that ever happen?
Oh no, that hasn't happened since I've been doing interviews.
Well, I was looking at your YouTube channel. So about 1,200 subscribers, over 1,200, and you have, let's see, 243,000 views. People love your interviews. It sounds like. How many have you done so far?
I've done, yesterday would have been my 223rd, I think, since summer of 2020.
Way to go, man.
Thank you.
What do you have any ones that stand out? The ones that had the most views?
Well, yeah, the one that has the most views, it's kind of a sad situation, but I'm sure, do you know who Tawny Katane is?
I do not.
Okay, she was the band Whitesnake.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, back in the late 80s, she was in a lot of their music videos because she was married to the lead singer. And she was also in the movie Bachelor Party with Tom Hanks before he was really famous. And she passed away last May, and I had interviewed her in January. So that's the one that has the most views. But I've done like Leah Thompson as well. Do you know who that is?
Leah Thompson from Back to the Future.
Yes.
We have that in common. I interviewed her once too. She was awesome.
Oh, cool.
Wait, what did you enter? What was the occasion? Was there a certain thing she was doing, or what was the focus of the interview?
Oh, no, it wasn't for anything specific. I had gotten lucky. I had directly interacted with her on Cameo messages, and she agreed to do it. And I just kept touching base and contacting her manager until it was eventually set up, which is pretty rare. But yeah, that was great.
That is so cool. I have another story like that. So we were scheduled for an interview and she didn't call. And I was heartbroken because I'm a huge Back to the Future fan. It was easily my favorite movie. And I don't know, I've seen it well over 100 times. So I'm sitting there, I'm waiting for it. And this is when she was on that ABC Family show where there was a lot of sign language, and I can't remember what it was called. What's that?
Switched at Birth.
Yes. My wife watched Switched at Birth. She was on it, one of the moms, and didn't call. And I was so heartbroken. I thought, oh, this was my only chance. So this is the early days of Twitter. I'm talking like 2008 maybe, or something like that. So there wasn't a lot of people on it at the point. So I sent her a direct message back when you can just do that without following each other. And I said, hey, I'm sorry we didn't get a chance. We had a scheduled interview at this time, but for some reason it didn't work out. I hope we can try it again sometime. She said, oh no, we'll do it. And she gave me her phone number in the direct message. And she said, call me at this time. So when the time came, we had an interview, and we did like, I think 20 minutes or something like that. And it was so cool. And I'll never forget that. And I wish I still had the interview. It's, I don't know. I'm sure I've lost it since then, but she was so cool.
Yeah.
Man. So you do have a lot of interest in, does it surprise you that there's not more interest in this genre of anime in the United States? Or are you not surprised by that?
What genre? What do you mean?
Well, when I say anime, you could probably name 100 series, and I may have heard of 2 or 3 of them. And it's just not well known here in the United States like it is the other places of the world. Are you surprised that it's not as popular here? Because I'm sure if you're talking to the people and you watch the series and you collect the art, you're very well familiar with it, but you still have to go on eBay Japan and get a proxy to get it sent to you here in the United States. It's like not well known enough here where people even find themselves collecting the cells. So are you surprised by that?
Well, yeah, I'm surprised that how a lot of people don't know what cells are or production artwork is, or that you can even collect it from shows that you like. I find that especially with people that are around my age range, that they don't, or even younger now, fans of anime, they don't want to go back and watch older shows. They just want to focus on newer series, which I'm always trying to like recommend older shows to people, because even though it was all hand drawn and doesn't look like how it does today, there's still some really good series in there.
I would guess that a lot of the shows that were popular when you were younger were all digital. So did you even watch hand-drawn cell animation cartoons? Were there any shows that you grew up watching?
Well, I mean, Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, Kenshin, those were all animated with cells, and a lot of shows that started out premiering on Adult Swim on Cartoon Network late at night were. But I mean, I grew up with some of the normal cartoons. A lot of people in my age range did. Like I watched SpongeBob all the time, and a lot of other stuff on Nickelodeon, and Dexter's Lab. But I still love Dexter's Lab and Courage the Cowardly Dog today. But I just, once I got into anime, that kind of just imprints on you, and it's a whole other thing.
Yeah. I don't know. It has. I'm trying to think of the other series that I've watched. I tried to watch some other ones. There was one I watched because it was on Netflix, and I had a lot of time at night when the baby was first born. And it was a series that a kid that would go back in time. Oh man. I should have wrote some of these down ahead of time, but some of the stories are great. I mean, I really enjoyed them. And then you get burned sometimes because, like for example, like the one I showed you here, I bought this one and another one just based on the way they look, and I had no idea the series,
Yeah.
and I just thought it's just beautiful. I don't know anything about it, but I just thought this is such a cool look. Well, so when I bought two of them, this was one of them. The other one I bought was I bought it because it was a dude sitting on the side of a bed and he just looked like defeated. Turned out to be Japanese pornography. So it was like the only clean scene in the whole thing. And I'm like, well, I guess that's the last time I'm randomly buying anime because I don't want this to happen again. So I guess I don't know enough to ever do it again.
Yeah.
How many cells do you think you own?
Well, cells now, I just have I think 4, but sketch sets.
Drawings.
Yeah, sketches or sketch sets, I have like, I don't know, 30 or 40.
Cool. That is really cool. What do your parents think about your collecting?
Oh, they've always been my mom. I've shown my mom a lot of stuff. They've always thought it was really cool. They already knew like what it was since they were old enough, and like grew up with their own cartoons. But yeah, they've always been really interested and supportive about it.
Yeah, I couldn't get my wife to even if I paid her, she wouldn't be interested in me telling her about me collecting stuff.
Oh,
I try to talk to her. I'm like, hey, can I tell you something about the animation cell? And she checks out and she leaves the room. And then it's almost like on the Flintstones where they throw you out the front door, one of those deals where she's like, if you bring it up one more time. Do you ever go to like conventions, anything like that? And have you ever seen art at those conventions?
well, I actually just went to my first real one a couple weeks ago here in Minneapolis, and sadly, there's not really cell dealers or cell sellers aren't really as prevalent in the convention circuit nowadays. I think that's just because it's a lot harder to get certain cells from series that a lot of people want stuff from, because the market for some series like Dragon Ball Z now and like Akira or Studio Ghibli movies, those are like insane now. It's you can't really easily get them and resell them. So yeah, I kind of missed that. It was before my time when cell dealers were really doing the cons all the time.
One of the hard things I found is that you're talking about Dragon Ball Z or even Pokemon. If you look them up, it's so expensive for one of the cells.
Yeah.
Because they're such iconic characters, But the thing that worries me is that even if I were to want to go out and buy one, I would be so afraid that it would be a forgery, because the high value ended ones, if when you're talking about, close to $1,000 or more for some of these, the way that they go, if they're nice ones, those are the targets that I think a forger would want to do. They would want to do the high target valued ones because they would get the most for that if they had the skill level to do it. So
Yes.
then it's like that's a double whammy. It's like it's expensive, and you're afraid that what you're buying is what some dude just decided to, to make in their basement or whatever.
Yeah.
So how much does like a Dragon Ball Z animation cell go for now anyway, when you see them up on those auction sites?
Oh God. I mean, it depends on the character, but I mean, if it's like a really nice setup with multiple layers and it has a matching background and the sketch with it, if it's like a Super Saiyan Goku or Vegeta or something, it can be like, I don't even know, like high thousands.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
People love that. And I wonder too, you talked about taking care of cells and it's easier to store and take care of drawings.
Yeah.
I wonder too if how many times people don't realize that, and that's going to start making things more expensive after some of these cells just degrade to the point where they're not really worth anything anymore. So the ones that we're taking care of are going to be so more scarce that
Yeah.
they'll just be more valuable. Got to show you, you got to take care of your stuff, I guess. It's a
Hmm.
weird hobby to get into to begin with. What was your very first cell that you bought?
Well, it was back when I was like in middle school. It's from an anime called Nightwalker, which is one of my favorites. I didn't really know what they were totally, but I had my mom buy it for me on eBay. It was only $30, and then I framed it and I cut it up to fit a frame.
Oh
And then-
no. So you
yeah,
cut around it to just get the character.
yeah. And then I didn't get serious about it until I like knew what they were, and I actually had money of my own until that was like when I was 18.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of cool. Your mom's on eBay buying anime cells. That is something else. That takes that's a whole different level when you have to have someone else purchase it for you. That's a
Right.
weird hobby for a teen to get into. I don't know if there's too many teens that find interest in this sort of thing. Did that ever like spin off for like any of your other interests? Like, did you ever want to get into art or digital animation or anything like that?
I mean, I like a lot of kids and teenagers. I drew a lot when I was growing up, but no, once I discovered cells and actually what they were, it was just more focusing on appreciating them and collecting them more so than trying anything like that myself.
Yeah. How do you reach out to some of these voice actors? How do you find them?
Oh, well, with voice actors, it's a lot easier. Most of it's just if they have their own website, they have an email or a contact form. So 95% of voice actors, that's how I reach out to them. Some are like 5% will be through their social media, but usually I like to do the direct or contact form or their agent.
Yeah. Do they normally list their agents on their websites for
Yeah.
like media gigs or bookings, things like that? Oh, that's pretty cool. I looked through this, and this is a lot of work, time, dedication, things like that. Uh, how do you find the time to do 200 and some interviews? Because I'm still fresh on my YouTube channel. Maybe you can give me some advice because this is, I think, interview number 6 for me. How am I going to survive to 200?
Well, I think especially if you want to keep talking, not just people who collect Western animation production art, but people. I think, well, maybe it's hard to say, but I think maybe there's a larger pool of people who want to get into anime production art or already collect it. That maybe that's just because I'm actively in it and don't really look at like the Western hobby circle for it. But there seems to be a lot more people that you could reach out to for anime production art.
Yeah. I always thought it'd be cool to be a voice actor, but I don't think I have the skill to do it. I have a nice microphone. I mean, this is an expensive Earthworks microphone, but I did it because I was working doing radio in my basement for a while during the virus time, and they didn't want us to go into the studio if we didn't have to. So I get this
Yeah.
I got a nice little mixing board. I got the Zoom mixing board here, which is great. The PodTrack P8. So I got a nice little rig here, and I thought, man, I should audition for some voice acting. Have you ever considered doing that yourself?
Yeah, it kind of was my dream job before I started doing interviews. I actually took classes for it here where I am in the Minneapolis area after I graduated high school, and it was really fun. It's just it's not really, at least at the time. I don't know. I mean, things are changed now. You can do it anywhere remotely, but the Twin Cities area isn't really the best place for voiceover.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could do it anywhere. I'm sure there's a lot of studios and things that they work with.
Right.
And I guess it depends. If you're doing anime, you probably are less restricted. There's probably a lot less gigs that are restricted by union jobs where you have to be in a certain union in order to do it. Because a lot of the Western animation big shops do that. I should try that. If I were to try out for a character, what type of character should I try out for? What do you think I'd be a good fit?
I think your voice kind of has like a good supporting or like central character, that somebody that like gives the someone who gives the main character crap a lot.
I like that. I definitely would love to do that. And I would want to do something that my kid could watch.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
and then but I would like to give garbage. I talk trash to a main character. I would love that. Maybe I should try to reach out and give it a shot and see what is out there. And then maybe one day you'll invite me onto your YouTube show and I can you can interview me when I become a voice actor. No, I don't think I have what it takes. It's a tough thing. I'm barely literate. I can barely read a script. So you think that would be a conflict with radio, but you'd be surprised. So I think that this hobby of animation art, things like that, it seems like there may be more people in it today than there were before. So you've been doing these interviews and things for a long time. Have you found there's more interest in it now than when you first got into it?
And yeah, for sure. I mean, there's people that are not that much older than me with tons of money who just want to jack up prices for stuff for Cel's a series they really, really want, and they don't really care how much they have to spend. But that's lots of that's been the case on a lot of things on Yahoo Japan, where the market for certain series has just gotten insane, not just with Dragon Ball, but just a lot of different shows.
Are you pretty good at translating yen to US dollars? Like in your head, are you pretty good at converting that quickly?
Yeah, well, yeah. And now I have like a pretty good. I've memorized like what certain yen prices are in USD. So yeah, it just depends.
Do you think that one day anime will be as popular in the United States as it is in Japan?
Well, I think now it's more popular than it ever has been, which is nice.
Gives them more accessibility. How do you even stream these? Do you have to get a special service for this, or do you find that like Netflix carries a lot of your favorite shows?
Well, there's Netflix, there's Crunchyroll is a primary one, Hulu, but and yeah, a lot of people use Crunchyroll. That's the predominant one.
For the longest time, the lost underground thing was the Star Wars holiday special, and it's like it was traded among fans, and it was like this thing that was so hard to find. Is there anything an equivalent in anime to that? Are there any series that aired but just don't exist anymore that people are searching for?
Hmm. Um, I'm not sure. Like, I think a lot of the stuff that was aired on TV, like the English dubs that were aired on TV, I think they were all shown. I don't think anything was maybe I mean I'm sure there is. I would just have to look it up. But as far
I'm
as I
just
know,
curious
it's
if
yeah.
lost media is a thing or not when it comes to anime. I love looking up lost media YouTube channel. I mean, that's a rabbit hole to go down right there, but I didn't know if there was any lost media anime. Um, I Yeah, I also find that it's difficult to find other people to talk about animation cells, and that's one of the reasons why I started this YouTube channel. Do
Yeah.
you find that there's other people in your social circles and friends or whatever that like anime, or are you just kind of like one of the only?
Oh, I have a couple close friends that are into it, but yeah, I'm kind of used to I don't like I still talk about it, but if someone's not into it, then I don't like talk about it a lot, only if it's somebody else who watches it as much as I do.
I bring it up once in a while. It just happens to come up. And then normally it spins off into the weird things that they collect, you know?
Yeah.
So I was talking to local newscaster here, and I mentioned animation cells, and he's like, "Ooh, those used to be really expensive 30 years ago." He collects things like old jukeboxes and gets them restored. That's
Okay.
awesome. You know,
Yeah.
I never really thought I would get into a hobby this late. Like, I never was someone that would be excited to scan eBay and look for deals on certain things. But here I
Mhm.
am. So maybe there's hope for everyone out there that there's a hobby or something that they can collect that they would really enjoy, and maybe encouraging them to do that is the right thing to do. And, maybe watching anime could be it for them. If they haven't seen one before. What's the best introductory anime for someone to start off with?
There's a number of them, but I would probably say Cowboy Bebop.
What's that about? I've heard that. I don't have nothing, no idea about it.
Okay, well, it takes place in the future. It's about a group of people that are bounty hunters basically, and they all have their own. They all have a ship together, and they all have their own problems. They all have their own mysteries in their past, and lots of tragedy. And it's phenomenally animated. It's from the late '90s, and it's a
Yeah.
great cast in both languages. And it doesn't really feel like an anime. It just feels like you're watching an animated version of like a really good FX show or
Huh.
something like that. Yeah.
I kind of forgot. Are you familiar with the website Animation Legends?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they get out there when it comes to their advertising. I bought a couple of animes from them when they had the series available. I'm trying to see if I have him here. Raujin Z. Do you know that?
Rojin Z. Yeah.
Raujin Z. That was pretty popular apparently here in the United States. I think Siskel and Ebert even did a review of it.
Mhm.
So that was kind of legit. Did you watch that one?
I think that might have been before me.
Oh yeah. And then the other one was the Kurogan Communication. Is that how you say it?
Kurogane Communication.
Was that a good one? Have you seen that one?
Yeah, I know what it is.
That was, I think, a maybe 7 or 8 episode type of deal. They kind of do those short stints. Like the BBC does that with their television shows. They'll do 8 episodes, call it a season. And
Yeah.
then the whole series will be like 16 episodes and they give up on it. And here in the United States, they try to put out 100, before you even know it.
Right.
I would like to appreciate some of the art that's in these things. But I don't want to get burned again without knowing what these series are, because it's so strange and foreign to me that I can accidentally buy Japanese hentai without even knowing it. And it was something totally innocent, the thing I bought, but it was part of something a lot dirtier than it needed to be.
Yeah.
So that kind of scares me. I think a lot of people, when they think about anime, some of them maybe even think about that. They think it's all adult oriented, but that's not the case at all. There's a lot of different types of series, but it's pretty much everyone I've seen has been pretty violent so far. That seems to be a common theme.
I guess it just depends on what you look for. I mean, there's a lot of realistic slice of life comedy drama shows.
Like what?
Well, a pretty classic one is Ranma One Half. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
No, what's that one about?
It started in the late '80s. It's a comedy martial arts series. It's about a boy named Ranma and then a girl named Akane, and their families are brought together to marry, but Akane and Ranma don't get along very well. They're both in high school, and then Ranma has a curse wherever he's splashed with hot water, he turns into a girl.
Huh.
And yeah,
Wait, so hot water turns him into a girl?
yeah.
Okay. That's an interesting twist. Could
Yeah.
that be used to an advantage? Is there a plot where that actually, like, he purposely does that to help him do something?
Yeah, and it went on for like 10 years, so it's one of the most popular comedy animes.
Wow. Do they take Western animation and play it in Japan, or do they not care about what goes on over here?
I think they do. I think yeah, there's a lot of yeah, I know there's cases where voice actors for anime dub over American cartoons. I think that happens pretty regularly.
I know that popular shows like The Simpsons, of course, they're everywhere. But if you go back, like, did Sonic the Hedgehog air in Japan? I doubt it. I guess they could have, but I don't know. Maybe. Well, I guess Japan and the video game culture, then that would make sense. But yeah, I look at the things that are popular now. Sometimes I look at it and think, yeah, why is that so popular? Like Sonic's super popular online when it comes to like animation cell collection. People love that.
Yeah.
I'm not good at predicting the trends. Is there anything we didn't talk about that you'd like to bring up? Something that I should have asked? Talking to the anime genius here, your stuff. Is there anything I didn't ask that I should have?
I think it's pretty good. I think, I think there's one thing I've noticed that people who, especially that are younger, that want to get into collecting cells for anime, people don't really know the proper way to take care of them necessarily. So I would say that whatever cell that you order, rather it be from Yahoo Japan or another collector, make sure the sleeve is fresh. Don't ever put a cell just bare in a portfolio. Make sure that it actually has protection.
Right.
Those are the two main things.
Yeah, I buy they're very common. It's the acid-free, they call them the Time Life magazine sized anime cell, or the cell bags. And then someone told me, of course you can cut it to size. Like I cut mine just based on how large it is, but you also put air holes in it. So you can cut little ventilation holes just so when it's in storage, that if there are any gases there, there's other opportunities for it to vent out, as opposed to it sitting in that bag and perhaps collecting or damaging the cell. And then they say you should take the cell out every 3 months to let it air out. That seems like pretty excessive to me. I think I do it every 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then I normally change the bag once a year. And I use these, see if I have them here. I used to have them, but there's these little paper things that you put in there and it helps collect some of the gases.
Oh, microchamber paper.
Yeah, the microchamber paper. Yeah, you're right. Those are important too. I think that helps extend the life.
Yep.
The thing is, it's like, a lot of times you can find really cool animation art for under $20. I mean, there's a lot of it out there. So it's the barrier to entry to try to buy one of these things is somewhat low. I mean, even if you go to like an Animation Legends, like how I got started, I think you can get 5 for $25 with the shows that they have listed there, plus shipping or whatever. But still, that's a pretty, and just being able to physically hold it, it's like it addicted me. I mean, it hooked me as soon as I was able to do something like that.
Yeah, just seeing, I never buy anything that I can't identify in a series, but yeah, just seeing, holding the thing that you can see on screen, it's just, there's nothing like that.
Yeah, it really is nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if people wanted to check out your YouTube channel, where can they go to find it?
It's just my name, Chris Mayek. It's pretty easy to find.
And you do some good work. I'm guessing you have Photoshop, because every time I see these thumbnails, there's a bunch of pictures on it. So you got to be pretty proficient in things like that. What do you use for your audio or your video editing, I should say?
Oh, it's really simplistic. I just use Windows Movie Maker.
Windows Movie Maker. It's so easy to use though, and it works really well.
Yeah.
How do you record the videos then?
I do everything on Zoom too.
Oh, so you do the same thing? Yeah, it's so much easier to do that and download the raw video and then just edit that up.
Yeah.
I bought the Adobe Premiere Suite before they went to the cloud, and they charged you a monthly subscription. This is like 10, 11 years ago. I bought it now. It's like 6.0 or whatever. I don't even know what version they're on, but I'm going to ride this out till the end. I've used the Sony Vegas, which is an editing software. I really like that one. And I've also used some other, I used the Final Edit or whatever the Apple thing was. Yeah. I didn't like that. That was too complicated. But yeah, the Adobe Premiere seems to be a pretty good one. But man, if you can get away with using the Windows Movie Maker, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. Trying to educate me and help me understand the anime and the different animation styles of the world. This was really cool. And thanks for being so flexible, mostly because, I kept you on the hook with my power going out and then the internet taking forever to get restored in our area. We had some storms come through a couple of days ago, but then we had this rough storm this morning that just we get a message that says a tree went down in the area, and that's all it takes to knock power out for several hours. So thank you for being flexible. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. I should probably actually grab one of my favorite things.
Oh, if you have something, I definitely want to see it. Please.
Okay. Yeah, hold on.
Yes, I do want to see it. Oh, this is cool. Sometimes I forget to ask these things. I'm glad you said that. I got to go back in and see if I got any other cool Westerns.
Okay, this is
one of my folders.
This is really oversized.
Wow, look at that drawing. So was that actually used in the production of the anime?
This was actually drawn for the cover of a Laserdisc and a videotape for the series.
So when they distributed the video, this is the artwork they used for the Laserdisc?
Yep, it's the character designer of the anime Nightwalker. This is their original drawing that was used for the Laserdisc and videotape cover of the final volume.
Wow, how about that? That's a really cool thing. I've seen other people post magazine covers, art, and it shows how they like frame it out and stuff like that. That is a really cool piece.
Thanks.
Laser disc, like you even know what that is. Do you have the laser disc?
No.
Well, you're gonna have to get it then as like a side-by-side comparison.
Yeah, I know.
No, that's pretty cool. That's awesome. Do you have any other art you want to show off?
Yep, I can grab my main Kenshin one.
Yeah, let's take a look. See, I'm trying to see if I got anything cool here.
Okay.
I got my binder here. I'm going to put these back before I mess them up. I don't put the drawings in bags. I think the drawings are okay. Do you put your drawings in bags?
Yeah, I mean, if it's a single sketch, it's not that big of a deal, but if it's like a sketch set, then it's better to have it in a sleeve.
That makes sense.
Here's my that's Kenshin.
I'll tell you what, I've seen some things like that posted online when it's got that blue hue to it, like it's like just as the sun's setting or whatever. That's such a beautiful color.
Yeah.
What series is that from?
That's from Rurouni Kenshin that I was mentioning at the beginning of our conversation.
That is something else. Is that a popular scene? Is that a really good scene?
It's from the opening theme song sequence.
Oh, those are even more valuable.
Yeah.
Opening sequence shots.
Yeah.
Man, what are you going out there buying some expensive stuff? That's got to be that adds so much value to the Cel.
Yeah. Context is everything, I guess.
Those are some good finds. You found those on the Japanese auction Yahoo site?
No, I bought the sketch. The sketch actually has a funny story. I got that from a collector named Linda, who a lot of people in the anime Cel community know. I got started with her buying stuff when I first got serious about the hobby. I found it on her gallery, and then I messaged her about it, and she said that she just sold it to somebody else, and that was back when I was like a junior or senior in high school. And then a year ago, another collector named Jen, who I had been becoming recently acquainted with, I found out that she was the one who bought it. So then I got it from her, and I just never thought that, because the Laserdisc and VHS cover from that, that's actually my profile picture for my gallery, and it has been ever since I started. So that's a really special one to me. And the Kenshin Cel also came from Jen. So yeah, it's another case of getting from retired collectors.
Laser disc. That is so great.
Yeah.
What would be like your holy grail, the thing that if you can get a Cel for free, no cost, what would be the thing you would want the most?
Well, I mean, Kenshin is my focus, so it's really specific stuff from Kenshin that I know where they are. I know the Japanese person who has it, but they're just not willing to sell it yet. So it's kind of better when you know where it is, at
Yeah.
least.
You're tracking it down,
Yeah.
keeping an eye on it.
Mhm.
And yeah, you want to be the one that gets the opportunity if they decide to sell. That's why you if it's good to know who the person is, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I got to say, Chris, this was super cool, and I learned a lot. And I think maybe people watching here gives them opportunity. Some of the different series you mentioned, if they want to check out different styles of animation, it's a good place for them to take a look at it.
Yeah.
Congratulations on all the success on your YouTube channel, all the different views and the different interviews that you're doing. I know people will be encouraged to go check that too. Thank you for doing this with me, being one of the early interviews on this YouTube channel about Animation Cel Talk.
Yeah, I'm really happy that you're starting this because, like you said, there hasn't been anyone else who's gotten the idea to do this, and I just don't understand why.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that talk online, Facebook, Reddit, and places like that. And I really enjoy people posting photos of things. You know, it's nice to live through other people when they get some really cool pieces to show off. And I just found there wasn't anyone in my real life that cared enough to like even humor me. Like, you know, sometimes you'll humor the idea and you'll just pretend you're like listening when really in your head you've checked out. They don't even do that for me. They'll stop me right away. They're going to say, "I'm going to hold you right there. Why don't you just go?" That's what they'll do to me if I bring up Animation Talk. So that's where YouTube. I have to find a whole different group of friends on YouTube that will talk about things like this. All right. Well, Chris, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I'll look forward to seeing it up.
Big thank you to Chris for helping me understand a little bit more about anime and what goes down there. And I got to say, very impressive YouTube channel. You'll have to check out Chris Mayek on there, Mayek, and you can see some of his interviews with artists that have done so many great cartoons. Thank you again for this. Feel free to message me if you have any suggestions, things you'd like to see on the show. I hope to continue to do those. I'm having a lot of fun doing it. And thank you for all the positive feedback. That's been very nice. We'll talk to you soon.